मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेद्धि वेदस्य महानीस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासिः अनेनाधीतेन होरात्रान् संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Right. So Ashvins, we were talking about Ashvins and their very special role in the beginning of the day, and they are very close to human beings and always save them, or always cure them, and full of bliss. They come with bliss and they seek after bliss, and they share soma. They drink soma, of course. So not only those devatas drink soma, as Radha mentioned before, but Ashvins are drinkers of soma also. And the very mysterious part of them is that they come straight to the vital. They are masters of the vital, of the life force. And because they are Ashvins, they are those who are riding on the horse of the vital energy. And because of that they have influence, direct influence over our vital being. But themselves are the supramental force. They are, as I mentioned before, the sons of Vivasvat and of the Saranyu.
The sun.
Saranyu and Vivasvat, yes. And actually the sons of the Lord of the Sun, yes, of the Sun himself. So they are basically his children.
So the sun, is the sun occupy, you said, I thought at one time, the sun occupies the realm of heaven.
Yeah, well, when we speak about the sun as the essence of heaven, we are talking about already Brahmanic period, so to say, which is a little bit remote from the Vedic. And of course,
I guess I'm still trying to grasp the constituents of the worlds.
Right.
For myself, I've always been interested in mixture, in the gray areas of life,
right.
in the inconsistencies and the parts of life that are hidden, and heaven, earth makes sense to me. The earth sphere, and the constituents thereof. The heavenly spheres, I think I understand somewhat, and the middle one, I'm still, not completely certain about what the constituency is of Antariksha. And so every time I'm asking, so obviously the Ashwins, they have some characteristic of connecting. They're connectors.
Right. Yes, I was making some schemes for us to, and I introduced them, by the way, into this video. I was just drawing with a hand. I will find them now to see
That one, yeah.
some of
That
them.
one, Antariksha, there I saw.
Yes, that was an explanation of a double antariksha, so to say, which is kind of clumsy to see. But the problem is here that we are looking with the eyes of three-dimensional thinking, and the upper and the lower, and these are all symbols to us. But truly speaking, it's more difficult to imagine that actually the world is within the sun. And that is difficult to imagine. We are within the superconscient. We are not outside the superconscient.
No.
So
I understand that.
Right.
I understand that. See, the thing is, it's not that difficult to understand because this is ourself, really. This is nothing but ourself.
Right.
So somehow it's really just unfolded, like you pointed out the very first session, nothing but unfolding what's already there.
Right, exactly. It's manifesting.
Remembering.
Yeah, it is manifesting itself through this kind of diversity of things in us, in the world. Yes. So to say, this gap between heaven and earth, that world in which we live, yes, is within the Surya, as here it is visible, yeah, within the sun, and that's why we see the sun as above us, and also we do not know, but it is so that the sun is also below us, and that was the great secret of the Veda. The secret of the Veda, which is not met afterwards, is that the sun is below also, and also within. So these three Suryas, so to say, below, within, and above, they will become this trinity in the later literature as Vishnu, representing Surya from above, so to say, over mental realm. Then Surya from within the heart will be Brihaspati, and Surya, so to say, represented from below will be Rudra or Shiva, rising, and his son Agni, who is rising from below. So Shiva has a power to support the whole nature with his presence, so to say. On his shoulders the whole nature rests.
When you say nature, you mean
Prithvi.
Prithvi, right?
So everything which belongs to this manifested world in matter, this is the problem for our understanding. That for me it was a big problem for many years. I never could really figure out this thing. How come that the Surya is also below, and that, for example, Agni is rising from the sun, rising. How can he rise from the sun if sun is above? But sun is also below, and that is the issue. And only later with reading Sri Aurobindo I understood, because he clearly says about it. And then I understood why this paradox is there. It's a paradox for the mind.
Isn't it related to the thing that you said a few sessions ago, why even killing was blissful? There's Surya is also below.
Well, killing is blissful because everything here, every activity is nothing but this blissful activity, only distorted by ignorance. Yes? There is no activity which is not...
Isn't that, I was just saying, but isn't that related to Surya also being below?
Right.
That luminosity would be coming from anywhere, any direction.
Yes, definitely. Everything here relates to this vision that Surya is everywhere. And that's even what Sri Krishna says in the Gita. He said that this world is within him, and not he is in the world. And that is kind of difficult to understand, how the world can be within the Supreme, yes? And it is within the Supreme. All our gap, so to say, our separated consciousness is within the Supreme consciousness, as it were. And, well, it's another way of talking again, because we can put it on the scale of 1 to 3 of the hierarchy, and then we will see above there will be divine, and below there will be kind of inconscient. We can also split it like this, but it is another way of kind of mapping it, more suitable to our mind. But if we can kind of keep these two not overlapping, but contributing to our understanding, both of these visions, that would be more helpful. It's neither that below is only inconscient and above is only superconscient. It's not this way. It's a language suitable to the mind. Say the inconscient is everywhere, so to say, between our world and our separated world and that supreme world. And in this sense, when they are rising to the hill in the Veda, and then they find that cave, Vala cave, which is the cave of subconscious. How come that they have to rise to it? It's also very interesting. But they have to rise to that hill, to that rock, and then there will be entry to the inconscient. So it's not below, it's somewhere in this crack, in this antariksha. So to that crack, to the vital world, we have to rise. And then there will be entry to the below, and there will be inconscient, but below the inconscient, below the very darkness, there will be the light. And that will be Surya. Surya, as I'm saying Surya, it's not really true what I say. There will be a supreme light. I put it Surya like this for us to understand better, but truly speaking, Surya we call only that being which is above, and not that which is below. So the
Surya that's below is Agni?
Agni is rising from him. I would say it is Vivasvat. That's why I wrote here Vivasvat. Because it is not said that Agni is rising from Surya, but from Vivasvat. And this Vivasvat is a strange name. It's actually the name of that Martanda also, Martanda, the 8th son of Aditi, who was born ugly and without limbs, and she left him and with her 7 sons, including Surya. But this Vivasvat, the 8th one, was actually a projection, or the fall of Surya, or fall of that light into the inconscient. I'm saying fall because there is no other way to say it, that within the inconscient there is light.
It makes sense, I understand.
Yeah, it's a secret of the Veda, that below there is light. And that's why the sacrifice was possible. So to say, we have to dig deep into that inconscient and to find that light within it, and to release it, as they say it. They released the cows, they found a new heaven, new sun, and the herds of the sun, they were released and kind of made free to go. So they all started to rise from below. And that is the transformational action of sacrifice, that all this Surya, which is above, below and within, will penetrate to the surface of our consciousness here, into our world, and make the difference here, transform it into the immortal being. immortal being which is separated, so to say, which is individualized, which is kept in its unique presentation, formation. This unique presentation and formation will not be dissolved. It will be maintained. But there will be also the aspect of the fullness of realization and being and consciousness. So in that sense, that will be the miracle. That was the purpose of this creation.
Right. And the Ashvins somehow are kind of links, or they create a kind of a channel through which the Surya can be brought to this vital and mental and physical realms.
I wrote here these triple vital, that is mental vital, proper, which is proper antariksha, the crack. The most difficult realm to explain is pure vital, that is to say antariksha. What is happening there in that antariksha is the most mysterious. I think this is the zone where the transformation is taking place of the whole nature. It is in this gap, because to that gap all the forces can come in, the supreme and forces of superconscient and inconscient. They are meeting there and fighting. And through that,
are the inconscient forces that can come in through that crack, are they Rakshasa?
Yes, all kind of asuras, Rakshasas, Paishachas, all the beings, and all the other influences of them can come in. And that is, we feel them, they represent also, partially represented in us, in our psychology. Though we think that we are like that, we have envy and fear and so on, but it is not so. These are the forces which are contributing to that. Mother said, if you would see once how suffocating our life is by these forces, you would not believe that we still survive. We are very strong beings, by the way. We can survive their influences.
I know, and a lot of people are inadvertently contributing to their strength by seduction without even realizing that they're being seduced.
Yes. We are always seduced. And all the forces of karma and desires, we can feel them. But more we are developed, more the psychic, the central being, so to say, the soul is in front or closer to the surface of our consciousness, less they have a chance to influence us or to possess us. So that is the whole process of transformation. We have to bring that inner being, that Surya, from within, from above and from below to the surface. That's the whole purpose.
So this is Vedic, this construct that you're...
Right.
So in the Vedic language, the mental vital is Dhyav?
No.
No.
Yes, I made a triple vital. This is triple vital.
Yes.
There is also triple Dhyav and triple Prithvi. Yeah? 3 heaven and 3 earths. They are 333, so to say. That's our
So what
word.
are the words? What are the words? The Vedic words for mental vital, and physical vital.
By the way, they do not make them in words. It's interesting. They speak about these triple worlds as Tisru Bhumi, 3 earths, and Tisru Diyavah, 3 heavens, and 3 Nirajansi, 3 luminous realms of vital world. They call them triple luminous spaces. Rajas is in the Vedic language is a space, yes? It's a shining space. Tisro bhumih, tisro diyavah, tri or trini rajansi. And Trirochana is the Swar world. So they are kind of hiding this knowledge for some reason. They are not going into explanation. So kind of they presume, yeah? Presume that we know what they are talking about.
The grahas that we study when we study Jyotish, and those devatas of the grahas, do they inhabit the middle world?
I do not know. Truly speaking, I have to see and to look into it, try to figure out, and then.
Well, the grahas, the grahas are evolutes. They're devatas. They're devatas, but they're evolutes in some way of the Vedic devata. You know, Ashvina is. You know, they're part of the. But we always think of the middle world. I don't know, or maybe they're the heavens. They're the heavens, but they're not the same heavens as Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, those faraway stars that are in the bigger the distant heaven. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was curious about it. I don't know if there's an answer to it at this point. Because, like you said, they may be mixing up paradigms.
No, there is an interesting thing here to think that we are dealing with the constellations which are in the physical world. Yeah? These are physical constellations, but they represent the forces which are behind different mental, and even supramental. The different devatas which are here acting through these representatives or through this organization of physical cosmos in this particular form. So when you speak about grahas, you mean the forces which are standing behind physical constellations, or you mean the physical constellations? That means, if you mean physical constellations...
Well, obviously, the physical constellations are representatives, like you said. They're representations of and I think those representations, you know, they have lots of different levels that they can operate on.
Right. I also think that they are representatives, and also that the sun and the planets and everything in this world is a kind of representative of some reality behind it. Yes, we are all representatives of this deeper reality. It can't be that we are only that what we are physically. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And everything, the earth, plants, the very movement in plants of soma, of the whole cosmos, of the sun. Sun itself is some way, even Sri Aurobindo speaks about it in a very occult and mysterious way, which I never could comprehend, that actually the sun, our physical sun, we are talking about this star, was inhabited or was embodied by the Lord. It was taken as a seed to be embodied by the Lord. So to say, if that is true, even if we think about it, it's unthinkable, you know. It's a bit beyond any comprehension that this kind of formation was taken by the divine force to represent itself in this physical reality and to regulate certain processes on earth in the physical, vital and mental sense. Maybe I will not ever understand this, but truly speaking, I believe so, that everything in this world is representative of the spiritual reality. And that was the vision of the Veda, that nothing here, that's why they used these symbols of the ocean, of the sun, of the moon. These are the symbolic representations of those very forces, not of some other forces, not of forces which are not applicable to them, but which are applicable to them. And that is the very, breathtaking vision, because this was the easiest way to hide their knowledge. Just give them proper names as they are represented in the nature. So they were represented in nature by these kind of beings: sun, moon, earth, wind, dawn, and so on, night, yes, river. All these are the representatives of these spiritual events, or forces, or beings, personalities. And in a way, they are. It's not just river. Behind river there is a certain magnetic fields change on Earth, and that magnetic fields comes from somewhere, yes? It's regulated by the flow. Yes, a flow of inner core, and it's an amazing thing. If we study it physically, it won't explain everything. We will come to the point where explanation is not possible, because we cannot comprehend all the movements in the cosmos. So we think that it is open to some other explanation, yes? Because it is rotating around the sun, and the sun around the galaxy, a galaxy around the center of the universe, and because everything moves somewhere, that's why it is so. But why it is moving all around some center, we can't explain. We can't explain many things.
Yato vacho nivartante.
Yes. From where the words return, where they cannot reach.
Indeed.
Yes. So there is something.
I like that place, though.
Yeah. There must be, in that sense. Then your explanation of grahas as forces represented by the physical constellations. So physical constellations will belong to this physical world, triple physical, where we have three earths. One is our material physical earth, other is our vital earth. That means our vitality in the physical, which moves, which makes this physical live, move, grow, sustain, exchange, and so on. Another is mental physical, which makes a structure of it, a structure of those constellations, of those universes, and so on. So all these are physical worlds. And here there is no graha, so to say. It's a symbol. The graha must be there in the vital and mental, or even supramental world, rather, and which is making this formation here of this vital force, triple vital force, and this triple mental force, or the formation of the structure, the concept, the idea. It's a very very complex world within the world.
Yeah, I'm just beginning to see that. So that's not. You can't reduce it to a layer, where these things exist, because they coexist in all the levels.
Right.
Except that they coexist in all the levels, except that each level has either a grosser form or a more luminous or refined or purified form. But it's just different forms of the same order, or the same reality.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain it.
Truly speaking, everything comes from the source. of the supramental
Yes.
world of the sun. There's nothing here which is not from there. As Sri Aurobindo explains, even speech, he says that the word which we speak now is somewhere was formed in the vital world by the force, vital force, to be expressive of this consciousness, and in the mental was formed also, and in the even supramental it was formed as an intention to clarify certain realities. So there is constant flood coming from the sun to the surface, and being transformed into all these symbols as we know them. We know these symbols, but we do not know directly the movement of that force. So we studying these symbols and we think that they exist by themselves, but truly speaking, everything here is related. And that was the vision of the Jyotisha, I think, to give that interconnectedness to the whole event here, from the point of view of acting of these different forces in the particular progression. And that progression is very important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That circle in which all the forces will be acting in a proper manner to make a change and development within this manifested world, to manifest more and more of the divine. I think this is the concept of the Veda if we apply it to Jyotisha. So they didn't see it from the individual perspective, as individual needs something from this universe and wants to have some achievement. They were looking at it from this more universal perspective for all of us. These grahas or these rather nakshatras. I would not speak about grahas. Nakshatras, because grahas are planets rather. They are more individual in a way. They are dealing more with
27 of them, 28 of them.
Right. 28 of them. Right. Well, I never could figure out what are these and how they are really. Could you manage that, really, truly speaking, holistically, to see the whole picture, how they are and what they are doing, these grahas and nakshatras? I thought about grahas as planets always.
Grahas are 9. Grahas are 9. And rashis are 12.
Right.
And nakshatras are 27 plus abhijit, which is a connector.
So these nakshatras, they are the farthest from us. They are giving us the biggest overview, representation of cosmos.
But the nakshatras are the same kind of big overview as the Veda, and they are the most refined and most abstract underlying understanding of life. In the same way that the Veda itself, the Samhita, is the most refined and most universal vision of the whole thing. And then as you get, as you go more, as you put more towards the Earth, which means more towards the grahas, the planets themselves, then it becomes more concrete and more localized and more individualized.
Do you know also the so to say Kabbalistic relation of the grahas, and in the Chaldean tradition, in the Semitic traditions, they have also 12 signs of zodiac, like Rashis, same way, and then they have 7 planets, which are the same planets as we use in Indian Jyotisha, except Ketu and Rahu. They don't have these two, and they are influencing, so to say, within those 12 realms. It's very interesting. So these 12 zodiac bigger zodiac realms, rashis, houses, yeah, they are they represent Osiris, yes, Osiris, and
don't you think it's interesting that that the houses are described as bhavas,
right.
And not? I mean, they're not houses; they're bhavas. They're states. They're conditions.
Right. Very interesting. There are many interesting things in those names. Yeah. And Rashi also is interesting. Rashi means a heap, a collection, or the concentration of light. Yeah? So to say...
heat. Rashi means heat?
Heap, as a collection, yeah.
Okay.
I will show you many translations. One second. Yeah, derivation doubtful, but a heap, you see, pile, group, multitude, quantity, number, sum of figures, and then sign of zodiac. So there will be.
But see how heavy all of those are, how concrete and localized and heavy all of those things are implied by that
right.
particular word.
Right. So it's a kind of interesting to analyze this from the linguistic perspective, also to see what they really meant by using those names.
But it's interesting. It's interesting that in the Vedas, in the Samhita, there's no Rashis, there's no Bhavas, there's only these Devatas. That and you know for example, when you said last week, the Ashvins, they're not the steeds, they're the riders on the steed. They're the and to me, I was thinking about it this week, and I thought, what is it that's riding? What is it that is actually doing the riding on the steed? And I kind of thought maybe that rider was the attention. It wasn't the consciousness itself, but the attention.
Yeah.
So
or the intention itself, intention. So to say, the intention to move, because the movement itself is a very interesting thing. Why does it move where it moves? The swiftness of energy, swiftness of consciousness, yes?
Because they're much enjoying.
Yes, yes, they're enjoying, and also they are acting, they're doing something.
They must love their job.
Yes, well, they can't but love it, because they are of that nature. Sri Aurobindo translates the horse as a swiftness of energy. Swiftness of energy, of consciousness, and that is very beautiful. It explains a lot to me. So this freshness and swiftness, the speed of doing, realizing, moving, changing, energy. So, and the cow is the light of knowledge, the light of knowing, yes? The light of consciousness, realizing, seeing, perceiving. Not seeing is only one faculty, but everything, hearing, seeing, touching. So let us maybe look into the text and we will see what it says. Ashvina, the riders of the steed, swift-footed, dravat pani, as with running limbs or with running feet. Shubhaspati, much enjoying lords of bliss. Also Purubhuja, much enjoying, Purubhuja, lords of bliss, Shubhaspati. Chanasyatam, take delight in what? In Yajvarih Ishach, in the energies of the sacrifice. sacrificial impulsions, literally. In the sacrificial movements, aspirations, impulsions. Okay, O Ashvins, it is my interpretation. O Ashvins, enjoy, accept with happiness our sacrificial draught of delight. And that means this Yajvari Ishach, of luminous impulsion, our draught delight of our luminous, or simply our luminous impulsion offered for the work of transformation. I'm usually kind of unfolding the meaning of this, what for this sacrificial impulsion, because sacrifice is a transformational work, yeah, of nature, of our earthly consciousness and nature. So that's when, if I unfold totally the meaning, it will be something like that. Our luminous impulsion offered for the work of transformation. Yajvari Hishach. Actually, it is in the plural, has to be luminous impulsions. Within ourselves, there are these luminous impulsions to grow and to become better and to sustain and to develop, and all those impulsions, yes, and they can be supported, and they can be seen as an offering to those higher forces, supramental forces, to take over, to take charge of, and to lead them and to drive them forward. So to say,
I think anytime you make a choice in life, anytime there's a choice that you make that is for, health, for example, I'm not going to eat that because it's, or I'm not going to drink this thing because even though everybody's having a party and drinking this or that, I'm not going to do that because it will cloud my bliss, it'll cloud my consciousness. That is a sacrifice, I think. Anytime you make a choice for the light, that is a sacrifice, and that's what you offer to the higher values of your own existence.
right,
Is making those choices, and that's the individual sacrifice.
right. Yes. Usually we understand this word sacrifice as something we have to give up or to suffer from. Yeah, to suffer from, because the choice to fall down and to fall back is much easier for us, to become again nothing. To go down is easier than to go up. And in that sense,
Indeed.
we always, to become an animal is easier.
Yeah, it is, except that what I think the consciousness part of it, and the part where you solicit the help of the devatas, is to remind you, is to bring the awareness in every moment of the cost of becoming an animal.
It's very
It's always
interesting,
charming. It's charming in the present, and then there's always there's something that's lost. Whereas, I guess it says that in the Gita as well. If you choose the higher value, which appears to be a sacrifice in the present, it offers. There's an offering to the higher value, which is the supramental, the devata.
Interestingly, how you put it in this perspective that the devatas are only a reminder for you, to remind you that you have a choice for the self-development. It's a very beautiful psychological description of the very process of the sacrifice.
That's why we're always invoking them, because they need us, but we need their help.
Right.
We need them because we can't do that. Even though we're not going anywhere that isn't our own self, we still need them to help us throw. Well, I know you wouldn't like that. I wouldn't say that, throw off then. To remember.
It's all right.
To remember. Well, the limiting character of our individual life.
I liked in your definition this psychological quality, because you put ourselves first as a major force, and these forces only necessary to remind us that within ourselves there are all the forces needed for transformation. So they're kind of they are not really the workers within us. They are the reminders for us to reveal those forces within us. And they are exactly those forces which we will reveal. And so it looks like that they are doing the work within us. But truly speaking, they are, this is the first time I hear such a definition, and I like it very much. It's in terms of modern psychology or modern paradigm. It fits very well. Actually, it kind of brings all these different paradigms together. So they are the reminder for our deeper sense, you know.
Indeed. But that being said, I mean, we started the whole conversation by saying these are Rakshasas, and they're all so. I mean, they're all us.
Yes.
As are the Devatas. They're also us, and they represent, of course, the higher and the lower values. But they are also, if we are nothing but that, really, then we are also them, and they are also us.
Yeah, and in that sense, the word, the action of the word is very particular here. And it explains why Veda and the word is so important in the Veda, because it is this word which creates for us the gods. It is this word.
Right, I understand. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is the word, the reminder to ourselves, so to say, of our true divine nature. And once we are reminded properly, in consciousness, it can act. And that is really beautiful. This definition is really interesting.
And isn't that the sacrifice there?
It is.
The thing that the word acting.
Exactly. By the way, the whole sacrifice was seen only through this means of the word. And that was also very difficult to understand for Western scholars. You find this phrase, Ya Evam Veda, at the end of every sacrificial text. You take all Taittiriya Samhita, and there is no text which is not...
Evam Veda,
yes.
Yopam Pushpam Veda, Pushpapam Pravjava, Pushpam Bhavati.
Yes, exactly that. No, you are quoting only one text, but throughout, all the texts are ending with this Ya Evam Veda. The one who knows this text as such will gain the fruits of the sacrifice. What does it really mean? The one who knows this text as such will gain the fruits of the sacrifice. It means exactly this. Who is invoking, reminding himself about his divine nature. This way he will be able to manage it. To do it.
Really beautiful.
Yes, it's exactly what you are saying, that the devatas are only a reminder. It was actually your definition. It's very beautiful. Reminder to us about this possibility or this movement within us that we can make.
But therefore, each devata has a particular portfolio of action. Even though they're all nothing but the representatives of the whole thing. They are also the whole thing, but they also have an individual portfolio of action.
Because there is the procedure.
That's what's interesting.
Yeah. Because there is a process. There is a process, a procedure, which has to be followed. we don't follow the process of the transformation, so to say, we don't follow the order of it, and that is what is said about Ritvij. Agni is a Ritvik, the one who knows Ritu. Ritu is the procedure that after the spring there will be the summer, and so there has to be a process. Time.
Oh, that's so brilliant, Vladimir. That's just brilliant. And that's why also the text, the first verse is, Agni has to be the first word of the Rig Veda. It has to proceed in that way, because it's the Veda is the word that represents, that expresses the unfoldment of the creation,
right? In a specific
the proper order of the sacrifice,
right? And that order is creating for all these devatas a portfolio, and their names, as you said, they have portfolios because they are in charge of a particular event in this process, and so to say,
right?
And they will be invoked in that moment.
And that's explained in Brahmana, yeah? Is that right? Or?
Right. Well, they tried at least to make it out of it a sense, and I say tried because they contradict each other, but in a way the whole idea is behind it, to
but
see.
There's never a contradiction. It's just what happens with a contradiction is that it's all it's doing is pointing to different orders of reality, and the laws that govern one particular layer aren't necessarily the same laws that govern or organize another layer. They're not really contradictions unless you try and read them all on the same order of reality.
Yeah, definitely there will be much to learn from those contradictions. I like those contradictions. They are very creative.
Yeah, because you're Russian. All of us Russians love contradictions.
Maybe because of that, yeah. But in a way, it's a creative process of thinking, and I found those contradictions are very much thought-provoking, and also showing something about reality which cannot be explained otherwise. If it is explained
precisely
only,
that.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely. That's why the Veda is full of them, because they're pointing to something that way.
Yeah, Sri Aurobindo says that the Veda was never interested to logically explain reality, and
never.
If there was an event or psychological reality, they were kind of giving its exposition of it in terms of invoking the devatas and so on. But they were not bothered to explain to our logical mind. They were never interested to satisfy our mental need in symmetry, so to say. They were not creating the world for the mind. They were dealing with the reality. And because of that, it is not really logical. Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really need to be it doesn't need to be if you're trying to. Logic is not something that actually points ever to ultimate truth. It just points to a layer of it.
Right. It's an instrument which we can use, or we don't have to use it. Right? We can use some other.
So you're not using it today.
Yeah, we can use it. By the way, the integral paradigm we will use logic. Sri Aurobindo is absolutely logical. Even this view, what we are talking about, the Veda, is also part of logic. Because if we are to deal with reality which is infinite and more comprehensive, how would we do it with one type of logic? It won't do. So we will have to use different types of logic and kind of widen the consciousness, which could see all of them contributing to the description of this reality, or rather invoking it within ourselves. What we are doing now, we are doing also this invocation.
I call it invocation. Yeah. I call it cross-pollinating orders of reality.
Interesting. Yeah, in a way, yes, it will give some results in the future. Yeah? So you're kind of conceiving the reality.
Yeah, right. Well, or excuse me if I use too pompous a word, but cognizing it.
Right. Well, it's a nice word. I like with this word, cognize. So basically, yes, the sacrifice is the mystery, and if we see with these eyes the whole process of what is happening to us, how these impulsions of the sacrifice are living within us, and can have a reminder, as you rightly said, from the word of the higher consciousness, so to say, that we within ourselves have all the force to make this transformation, to fulfill it. And this would be the appeal to these devatas, or to these constellations and those grahas behind them, those divine actors behind this time process. And we will invoke them in time, so to say, and reveal from within ourselves all the potential which is waiting there to come to the surface. So that is the sacrifice in a new fashion explained, and I like that we today found a new language to explain the sacrifice. Beautiful. Makes sense totally to me. So this was the first verse.
What is the daughter of heaven? What is the daughter of heaven?
The daughter of heaven is Usha, the dawn. She is the daughter of heaven, Duhitar Diva. Duhitri, Duhita.
What's the name again?
Duhitar. Duhitri is daughter. It's actually the same Indo-European etymology. Daugter is daughter. Yeah? Daughter is actually Duhitri. It is from Sanskrit Duhitri. The same etymology, one to one. And it is from root duh, to milk. And it's very funny because in the Aryan family, the daughter was the milker. Duhitri means the milker. She milks the cows.
Well, that kind of makes sense also, actually, because of the intuitive kind of character.
The explanation is given culturally that in the Aryan family, most probably the daughter was the milker of the cow. That's why she was called Duhitri, the milker. But there can be a deeper reason, which I didn't see yet, that she is the milker. Most probably, yes, she is the milker. She, the daughter. So she is the milker of, literally, the milker of heaven. By the way, in the Veda, these words, such as Duhitri or Matri, mother, mother, we also do not know why mother is mother. It's from root ma, to create, yes, to measure, literally, measure out. So she is a creatrix, the one who measures out of the immeasurable. But these words can be used also in a very general sense, as the milker or the measurer, the creator, not necessarily the mother or the daughter. So Duhitar Diva can be also the milker of heaven. Yes, Gomatih Isha Avaha, who bring to us the milker of heaven, the dawn, these impulsions full of light, or cows. So it can't be impulsion full of cows, but most probably impulsion full of light. Yeah, together with the Suryasya Rashmi, with the rays of the sun. So it doesn't fit the shining foods. That's what Sri Aurobindo was analyzing. He has very good analysis for Ish. Sorry. So if Ish means food, as Sayana tries to explain it, Sayana actually is not the one person, and if you read his explanations throughout, you will find that they do not fit. I think there was the whole group of people, Brahmins, who were doing this work of interpretation there in his school. And they all put his name, Sayana, on everything. Yeah? And
right.
So you will have very different...
It's the same with Parashara.
Yeah, can be. Yeah. It's a typical for Indian tradition thing. Yeah? There are more than 100 works of Kalidasa found, but among them maybe 12 are authentic. So many people signed with Kalidasa name.
But it does, to me, it makes sense that the shining food is brought with the dawn.
Mm-hmm.
That I understand. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
At the beginning of 20th century, people were treating these texts very differently than we are doing now, with the background we have. Yeah, they were understanding it physically, and that's why Sri Aurobindo was criticizing it. Today, shining foods means very, very different thing. It's a symbolic vision of that which feeds you with light, and it's a beautiful thing. And I would also, I agree with you. Right. No, we read this before anyhow. But let us take another verse. See what it says. O riders of the steeds, Ashvina Purudam Sasa, Nara Shavira Yadhya, Dhishnya Vanatam Girach. O riders of the steed, male souls effecting a manifold action, take joy of the words. O holders in the intellect, by the luminously energetic thought. Now we have this thought coming, which is kind of also important. Because by that the dharana will be possible, the holding. Dhyana is possible, because dhyana is that the holding of the image of things. Fixing it, yes, in consciousness.
Or settling into it, possibly. Settling into it where it's still.
Okay, I will look into my interpretation. Ashvins, you of manifold activity, I'm translating literally here. Heroes, Nara. Sri Aurobindo puts it heroes with, he puts male souls. By the way, I will have to explain this, because he always translates Nri as the heroic souls. I put heroes, but Nara, Nri, it's not only the people, but also the gods. Many times they are invoked as Nara. And here also two Naras, yes, two Ashvins are called Naras. And Sri Aurobindo says that it is because of its very meaning of Nri. Nri is the heroic movement of soul energy, but which is actually explaining that what you were saying today, and that it is only a reminder to our souls about their activities. Here we can see this embodied. They are called Nara. They are called the actions of our heroic soul, of man. Basically, they are these actions, Ashvins. And they are rising from the depth of our being. And that's actually a proof for that it is about subjective movement of the soul. So heroes, we can leave it this, with powerful concentration, benevolent, enjoy, love, win our voices. Vanatam, Girach. With powerful, this word Shavira is a bit strange word. It's from,
Sharira? You mean like the body? Sharira?
It's not Sharira, it's Shavira. We have
Shavira.
yes, we have word Shavas, which means swelling, strength, power. Most probably it is from that. So to say, superior, heroic strength, with a mighty and benevolent thought or holding, concentration, as I put. With a powerful concentration, benevolent, enjoy or win or love, accept. Root 1 has many meanings. First is enjoyment, and then winning. Enjoying and winning. And coming in one root. Root 1. Vanatam.
Root 1.
We have Tadvanam in Kena Upanishad, that delight. Vanam is also forest and also delight, because forest is an embodiment of soma. Yes? All the greenery is full of soma, juice of life.
Yeah, but interesting, I'm just thinking, we just had this analysis of Duhitri, the milker, and now, and the softness and the kind of intuitive character that is implied by that, milking the knowledge in that kind of soft, feminine way. And here we have contrasting the activity, the heroic and powerful intention of reaching for the same thing, but in this kind of heroic and masculine way, male way.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a very intuitive way of thinking about Duhitri as the soft and feminine and milking out the knowledge. Yes, the knowledge out of the cow, which is also feminine, as from the mother, and getting the knowledge from the mother, and
in a surrendered kind of fashion. And this way is in an intended, heroic and powerful.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Launching forward, and both of them yielding the luminous thoughts, the luminous energetic.
I understand what you mean.
Juice.
They're already consumers of this delight in a way, and the feminine aspect is kind of presenting or getting it, distilling it, preparing it, making it available for this kind of for the feeding of this force to conquer the ignorance. Yeah, beautiful.
Brilliant.
Makes sense.
Valor and heroism.
I'm giving a vocabulary usually, and it's useful to see different words. They can kind of clarify the concept.
Indeed.
Because sometimes there are not, you see, we are all dealing with words only, because we create within ourselves the reality of this kind, the consciousness. And that's why we need the whole set of concepts.
But you notice, I certainly notice, that every time we go through all the words and go through the verses, something else is created, which is not words, and which is that juice, that luminous juice that feeds the whole thing.
Right, the luminous juice, the soma, shining drops of immortality, ambrosia, which which our immortal consciousness consumes. So the gods within us consume and grow by it. And by growing within us, we feel their growth. We feel that our understanding, or even not even understanding, more than that, it's some kind of presence or being is growing, becoming more itself as it is.
Dominant.
Yeah. So the third verse is Dasra. Dasra yuvakavach sutta nasatya vrikta barhishach ayatan rundravartani. I have piled the seed of sacrifice. I have pressed out the vigorous soma juices, fulfillers of action, powers of the movement. Come to them with your fierce speed on the path. Again, this fierce speed. But there is this delight about which we were just talking, about this luminous soma. You see, you already anticipate. By the way, it's a very strange thing when you dwell on these hymns, especially dwell as we do. Yeah? We don't rush, don't read them as texts, but kind of anticipate. We go deeper into the meanings, psychological. There will be always anticipation of the next concept or the next thing coming. You will be kind of recognizing, oh, I knew it. It will be this intuition or surprise, so to say. Oh, I knew it, that it has to be there. And it is there, waiting for you. Because our...
Lovely.
Yeah, it is so. It works with the Veda very much so. So this vigorous soma juice is already here. And I make my interpretation, or this, I usually go literally, or discerning and skillful ones, dasra. The delight of our existence is pressed and distilled for you too. Yuvakavach Sutaha. O movers on the path, Nasatya. The place is prepared for you. Vrikta barhishach. It's also an interesting word. Barhis is the grass which they put around the sacrificial fire for the gods to take place, in particular order. And they invite gods to sit, and here you use it, here you use it, and so on. And this barhis is from root brih to the same as Brahman. Brihaspati or Brahman is coming from the same. It's to widen, to grow. So to say, barhis is the place of widening, where we have to vacate our populated consciousness for the gods. We have to widen this consciousness for them to come, to empty it, to prepare it for them to enter. So to say, we have to clean our house, if you want.
Right.
Or widen the space within ourselves.
Right. That's the word there.
Right. So this is here. We are here already in that particular. The place is prepared for you.
Well, it's interesting to me to notice that in the previous verse, where it was, what was it, Dharana, or Dhya.
Yeah, Dhi. Holding.
Yeah, holding. And then here in this verse, we have the seat, which is also a kind of a holding, but the seat implies almost like you surrender, you sit there, you relax into that. Whereas the previous one implies, a concentration or kind of an intention or an action that needs to be swiftly taken. And the seed, we've piled the seed of the sacrifice and pressed out the soma juices, and then you can, and taken the action, and then you can come with immediately come right away when all those actions have been taken, and I'm sitting now, and that unfoldment can just now take place.
Yeah. There is a place here. There was a holding of the force. Yes, in a way, yes. And now here there can be a settlement or stepping onto the ground of our being, so to say, settling on it or acting on it already firmly established within our being. Yes, very interesting, your observations, dynamic, and so yeah.
His paths are red with flame. Goodness.
Clipped grass is that vrikta barhis. Clipped vrikta.
Kusha, is it called kusha grass? Kusha?
Yeah, kusha also, yes, sacrificial kusha grass, which is also. Barhis and kusha is thin grass. Nasat, yes. It is from root nas to, as Shubhinu will be translating, powers of movement or achievement. He will give the explanation. It's from root nas, which is to achieve, to reach out, to move towards. In the present hymn, the Ashvins are invoked as swift-moving lords of bliss who carry with them many enjoyments to take delight in the impelling energies of the sacrifice. Yajvari Ishoi Chanas Yatam. These impelling forces are born evidently of the drinking of the soma wine, that is to say, of the inflow of the divine Ananda. For the expressive words, girach, expressive words, that's exactly what we were talking. We have to express them in our consciousness for them to be born within ourselves. By the way, this is an explanation also of the Brahmanas and Sayana himself. He says, for the Brahman who knows the Vedas, who knows the hymns, the words, he brings to birth all the gods related to these words within himself. So he kind of, they are born within him because he knows those expressive words of consciousness.
But don't they also say that even, if there's something else has to be present, because there's also verses, I think, in the Upanishads that say, if you don't know the self, what good is all the words of the Veda?
Right.
What good is the Veda if you don't know the self?
Yeah, it happened to be that later that Brahmins started to, mumble the mantras without understanding, because they learned them by heart, but they never could figure out the meaning of them. And many of Brahmins do not know the meaning of the hymns, yes, and when they recite them.
No, that's true.
And Sayana says, actually, in his commentary on Taittiriya Aranyaka, especially this chapter on Svadhyaya, he says that, truly speaking, the sacrifice will not take place if you do not know the meaning of the words. And so you have to have both. You have to have a proper pronunciation of the text and also the knower of the meaning of the words. If you don't switch on both of them, the knower of the meaning and the speaker of the word, the sacrifice will not take place. We need both, heaven and earth, for the sacrifice. Heaven is meaning and earth is word. And if they are not switched on, then the yajna, that antariksha, will not, have that connection. Sacrifice will not take place. That's what happened today, and that is the criticism. If you pronounce only the word without knowing what it means even, so how could you expect the sacrifice to take place? A sacrifice is exactly the change of consciousness within you. It acts. But you know what I started to think? I was very critical about this in this way, and now I became less critical. And I see, for example, such a thing when the Brahmin pronounces the mantra without knowing it. It doesn't mean that there is no listener other than him to these mantras.
Good point.
Yeah, there is some other consciousness which attends, or which he may not attend to, in his own individual consciousness.
Indeed.
But
Right.
something is taking place anyhow. Yeah. Anyhow, let us look what they say. That
I think that maybe the world eats it then. The world will get the fruit.
right, all the higher consciousness which always attends, which is present.
Indeed. Right. The witness.
Yeah, and the world, you are also right. By the way, on this ground, the whole Natya Shastra is built. Natya Shastra starts with the performance of the sacrifice, which was made by ancient performers to perform it and to show it to the gods. It's a sacrifice, basically. It's yajna, the ritual. And the ritual was attended by the gods, and they were all delighted to see this thing happening, because in their consciousness they were sharing the vision of it, the words and the actions. And that's exactly the sacrifice, the same thing. That there is always an attending consciousness somewhere, even to this performance, to this theater. And then later this, and it is said in Natya Shastra that the audience became human beings instead of gods. They started to share their consciousness with the event. And it struck me because, truly speaking, why do we watch movies or go to the theater and read books? We, we perceive the event as a symbol of our own happening, so to say. Between that event and our consciousness there will be a connection, yajna, the sacrifice, the change of consciousness, the experience, life experience. You go to
the widening?
Any experience, life experience. So we go to the cinema and we watch the movie and we are full of tears, full of impressions. We lived and we experienced something we never had in our life. It's exactly that action, activity, which is creating within us something we didn't have. It's very interesting. We read books, for example. I read Ramayana, and I had experiences from Ramayana reading it, so much more luminous and beautiful, much more than I had in my life, my own life. I would never have them if I would not read this. Yes? So by reading it, I got into a state of understanding and feeling of mercy and happiness and laughter and humor, which I would never have, because my life is much more miserable. It's true. It's true.
We love once again the glories of being a Russian.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way, yes, but it's a really boring life in comparison to that what is happening in Ramayana, and I can be part of it.
As we discussed previously, the the absolute is, it's blissful. It's unbounded, infinite, immortal, and blissful, but it's kind of not much to it. it's kind of just, kind of just still, and silent and empty, but full, complete fullness and complete emptiness. But it's just not much to it. So it manifested the Russians.
You're joking really about Russians. I really thought it could be faster. At least 30 years back, I thought so.
I think that's the reason that any of us got involved in this, because we thought it would be faster. But we don't. We're hungry and impatient, and none of us thought it was going to take so long. And then you think, oh well, it's look how many lifetimes it could be.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's not the thing I was thinking.
And then you see it says right here. It says exactly right here. Swift. It can happen very swiftly because he's swift moving, Lord of Bliss, and it can happen in an instant. And because of its character as swift moving, so that you also have to hold that out as well, as that it could be any minute. It could be you're going along, struggling, and this and that, and then any minute you could just remember, and then it would all be there. But anyway, we still have to do the sacrifice.
Beautiful, yeah. Nice, very nice. Maybe on this nice note we can stop for today. All right, I will finish with mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravir vedasya ma'ani stha shrutam me ma prahasihi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami ritam vadashyami satyam vadashyami Tanmam avatu, tadvaktaram avatu, avatu mam, avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Thank you very much. For today, Vladimir. It was amazing.
Very nice. Thank you.